horrible tragedy on Mount Everest for two British mountaineers. A drama that tested human resilience unfolded under Mount Everest, where victory and tragedy coexisted in nature's brutal grasp. Two British mountaineers set out on a perilous expedition as freezing winds howled and the summit loomed. The struggle for victory turned into a terrifying narrative of survival and loss. Who plotted against them on the world's roof? How did their journey to climb the highest peak on Earth turn into a nightmare? Discover this terrible catastrophe on Mount Everest, where ambitions meet destiny and humanity faces its greatest fears. After climbing the second Pinnacle on May 17, 1982, Peter and Joe disappeared, leaving their loved ones in limbo. Family, friends, and search parties diligently sought answers to their disappearance. In 1992, Peter's corpse was found, ending the decade-long search. His loved ones were relieved to learn of his fate, but saddened by his loss. The mountaineering world will always remember Peter and Joe. Their bravery, determination, and love for discovery reminded us of the perils. Their story reminds us of the mountain's great challenges and uncertainties, as well as the lasting friendships formed by such endeavors. Joe's disappearance and the mountains they conquered remain a mystery. The mountain range remains silent, leaving everyone affected by Peter and Joe's deaths to struggle with unsolved questions and a hole. British climbers Peter Boardman and Joe Tasker inspired mountaineers in the 1970s. Both men loved the vertical world and pushed human limits in harsh circumstances. Peter Boardman, born on December 25, 1950 in Stockport, England, loved the outdoors from childhood. He started climbing in Derbyshire, where he developed an adventurous spirit. Peter rapidly became one of his generation's best climbers due to his dedication and technical skill. Joe Tasker, born on May 12, 1948 in Hull, England, loved mountains too. Joe, from Yorkshire's flatlands, loved vertical scenery. He was a powerful climber due to his uncommon combination of physical strength, mental resilience, and technical aptitude. Peter and Joe met in the early 1970s and bonded through their love of exploration and adventure. They conquered some of the world's tallest peaks on pioneering excursions. In 1976, they climbed the hazardous west wall of Chengabang in the Indian Himalayas, one of their greatest achievements. They faced severe weather and technical problems on the Boardman-Tasker route, which demanded boldness and innovation. High-altitude mountaineering pioneers. They attempted the unclimbed north ridge of Mount Everest in 1978. They persisted through tough weather and dangerous terrain. Their bravery and commitment showed in their failure to reach the summit. Peter Boardman and Joe Tasker's 1982 mission to climb Everest Northeast Ridge ended tragically. They vanished in the harsh Himalayas. Their loss left a permanent hole in the climbing community. Their mountaineering efforts were far-reaching. They pioneered climbing techniques and equipment and inspired numerous adventurers. Their legacy celebrates human perseverance and the allure of the world's highest peaks. He set off on his climbing adventures with careful planning and unyielding resolve, exploring the breathtaking scenery of the mountain range. To help him appreciate the social dynamics at play during these strenuous exercises, Joe brought his knowledge of sociology and his profound awareness of human behavior to bear on his climbing. As he completed major ascents in the Alps, his perseverance and expertise stood out, making an impression on the mountaineering world. His unique outlook on the climbing community was informed by his sociological training and insight into human nature. He didn't just focus on the physical hardships, he also investigated the mental components of mountaineering, such as the climber's underlying motives and the impact of group dynamics. His fame as a talented mountaineer and innovator in the area was cemented by his notable ascents in the Alps. His sociological training gave an interesting dimension to his legacy, and his climbing accomplishments served as a motivation for budding mountaineers. Joe Tasker, with each ascent, proved that seeking adventure and studying human nature were not opposites, but rather complementary aspects of his extraordinary life journey. When Peter Boardman reached the pinnacle of Mount Everest in 1975, he wrote himself into the annals of climbing history. This astonishing achievement was the first step in a career defined by boldness, tenacity, and a hunger for ever greater challenges. Peter and his climbing partner Joe Tasker set out on a series of trips after Peter's successful summit of Everest to test the limits of mountaineering. The first ascent of the west wall of Chengabang, a tough peak in the Garhwal Himalayas, stands out as their crowning achievement. Traditionally, Himalayan expeditions relied heavily on legendary mountain guides known as Sherpas, making their decision to attempt the climb without their assistance all the more extraordinary. Both expeditions were distinguished by uncompromising self-reliance and precise planning, despite the lack of Sherpa aid. They examined the risky path thoroughly, risking icy conditions, precipitation, and sheer cliff walls. As they made their way across the hostile landscape, they displayed extraordinary levels of competence, mental fortitude, and teamwork. With the passage of time, Peter and Joe were able to overcome more and more challenges on their quest to reach their elusive goal. Their mutual willpower and fortitude spurred them forward, pushing the envelope of what humans are capable of. Their dedication paid off when they conquered the west wall of Changabang, a feat that sent shockwaves through the climbing world. His partnership with Joe Tasker and the subsequent ascent of Mount Everest cemented his reputation as a pioneering mountaineer, eager to explore uncharted territory. Their heroic deeds serve as an inspiration for future mountaineers because they show how far the human spirit may push itself in its pursuit of excellence. Two daring climbers were in an unusual situation. They were chosen to try the northeast ridge of Everest in 1982. This path was an unresolved high-altitude climbing conundrum. The two prepared for their excursion with excitement. They methodically prepared every aspect, knowing that success depended on preparation and determination. The dangerous Northeast Ridge demanded their best. They revered Everest Base Camp as they entered. Their task grew overwhelming. The mountain towered above them, its snowy slopes sparkling in the sunlight but hiding hidden hazards and severe obstacles. They knew the expedition would test their physical stamina, mental fortitude, and climbing partnership. The pair took weeks to adjust to the severe surroundings. While learning about the Northeast Ridge, they faced altitude sickness, chilly winds, and limited air. They studied every inch of the route, internalizing its complexities and planning the safest and most effective method to navigate it. Finally, they ascended. They set out excited and worried. They slowly climbed the icy slopes determined. They had to focus on steep inclines, exposed slopes, and dangerous areas. Their relationship saved them from doubt and exhaustion. Challenges increased as they ascended. Altitude sapped their strength and left them breathless. The weather was unpredictable and the cold bit their bare skin. Despite the tough conditions and heavy labor, they persisted. They persevered for weeks to reach their goal. The Northeast Ridge pushed them physically and mentally. With sheer determination and a common desire for conquering the unexplored, they kept climbing. After a hard fight against nature, they climbed Everest Northeast Ridge Peak. They stood atop the planet, exhilarated, exhausted, and awed. The vista from the top showed their determination and fortitude. Their summit of the Northeast Ridge inspired subsequent climbers. They left their mark on Everest's untamed slopes and climbing history. Their story would demonstrate human tenacity, perseverance, and insistence on the unattainable. For years, they had wanted to climb the intimidating peak ahead. They methodically planned their route and set up various camps to ensure a successful ascent. Their objectives were hampered. Despite hazardous terrain and uncertain weather, fate struck them hard. A slight stroke struck Dick Renshaw, a key team member. The unanticipated medical issue pushed the team to reassess and make a tough decision. The climbers regretfully decided to stop climbing since Renshaw's health was at risk. They realized Renshaw's condition could worsen if they delayed medical treatment. They reluctantly gave up their goals and withdrew from the ascent. The team quickly used their mountaineering expertise to descend safely. They quickly evacuated Renshaw to get him medical attention. The team supported him, who was determined to recover and return to the mountains. Despite the setback, the team prioritized climber safety and well-being. Flexibility and an adaptation were essential in adversity. Despite their disappointment at abandoning the climb, their companionship and unflinching support kept them going. Mountaineers worldwide respected the three Pinnacles as mysterious sentinels. Despite numerous attempts, the hazardous terrain and unpredictable weather prevented their ascent. It took skill, endurance, and most importantly, unflinching judgment. Both spent weeks preparing. They fine-tuned their gear to ensure it would withstand the extreme circumstances they would face. Their meticulousness and regard for the mountains fostered reverence and caution that guided their every step. Finally, Expedition Day arrived. Both stood before the three Pinnacles, determined and knowledgeable, and they are ready to carry the expedition's hopes. They climbed with precision and unwavering confidence. Every decision was calculated and risky. Pete and Joe persevered across tight ledges, perilous icefalls, and roaring winds, focusing on each barrier. After a harrowing climb, both stood atop the three Pinnacles, soaking in the beautiful view. The expedition's success was due to their mountain judgment, caution, and physical strength. After climbing to the second Pinnacle, May 17, 1982, Peter and Joe disappeared, leaving their loved ones in limbo. Family, friends, and search parties diligently sought answers to their disappearance. In 1992, Peter's corpse was found, ending the decade-long search. His loved ones were relieved to learn of his fate, but saddened by his loss. Joe, Peter's climbing partner and dear buddy, stayed unresolved. Despite tireless searching, Joe's remains were never found, leaving his loved ones heartbroken. Joe's absence left questions unresolved and emotions raw, deepening the bereavement. Joe's disappearance and the mountains they conquered remain mysteries. The mountain range remains silent, leaving everyone affected by Peter and Joe's deaths to struggle with unresolved questions and a hole. Thank you for watching today's video. Please like and subscribe to our channel.